How good is that first nose? Hello everyone. It's Saturday evening here in the whiskey office at the Scotch Malt Whisky Society. I'm just getting a few things done tonight before I have to. Before it's Sunday, of course. Before I get to sit down finally and just have a beer and chill out. I don't normally go live on the weekends, as you know. That's okay. We can go live every day, really, and we do go live most days at the moment. Monster and Malt, Jim, good to see you. She's so fine. Whiskey is my jam. Matt teaching. Beer Nerd. I love that name, Matt, by the way. I love that. Teaching Beer Nerd. Joel, good to see you. It's not a big live stream tonight. It's just a quick one. Just an interim one that I like to do over the weekend sometimes. Whiskey Man Sam. Whiskey Man Sam's on the live actually with us this Tuesday coming. That's really exciting. For those who didn't know, Sam is Whiskey Man Sam is Samuel Lucardi from McHenry's Distillery, and we're going to have a chat with him on Tuesday night on the live stream, which is going to be a lot of fun. Alex Moores, Whiskey Saurus, Steve Oates, Calby Chan, everyone's tuning in, fantastic. Just an impromptu Saturday stream with a dram in hand to keep you going. I hope you're all finding something to do in this crazy COVID times. So, this quick little stream is actually mostly unrelated to the SMWS. It is related, actually. It's a chance for us to have a discussion about what you're finding. It's a question for you all out there. Whiskey Hong Kong Macau, good to see you, Kelvin. Is that you, Kelvin? Is that you in there? Is that you behind that account? I think it is. I want to ask you what you're keeping busy with in times of. Is there anything that you're doing at the moment that you don't normally do that is a bit creative? Is it a bit interesting? The reason I ask that is because I took a bit of time today to. Good to see you, mate. I took a bit of time today to create a whiskey candle, which I thought was quite fun. So I took an old Heartwood bottle, the Devil May Care, a 14-year-old single malt that I think it was a single cask as well, actually. It was a single cask, yes. Distilled 2000, bottled 2015, one of 180 bottles, bottle 148. 26.5 standard drinks, bourbon cask HH359. So that's Highland Holdings cask 359. So technically a Sullivan's Cove cask from the Highland Holdings era. There's so much behind all the history of Australian whiskey and history of Tasmanian whiskey, that is so not very well documented. I'm getting my wife to draw a label for the comp. Good. Not creative, but just waiting for you to go live. You know what? You can submit those anonymously. I have had a few people send me their labels for the $50 competition. Just a bit of fun, just something to do in the downtime, keeping creative. Of course, being creative can mean drawing your labels, which I had an attempt at the other night, which I think some of you saw, that was terrible. That was I called it a Derbage's Dream, I think I called it. And it was a tribute to our current and our fantastic cellar master. I don't know why I say current. There hasn't been any cellar masters before or after him. So anyway, Andrew is a cellar master. That was a cask that was a label that I was creating for him. However, something else creative I got doing today was I infused a dram of this whiskey, the Devil May Care, into a candle. So there you go. I cut the bottle, and then I've sanded down the edges so there's no sharp glassy shard bits going there. I could cut my hand while saying that, of course, but. I don't know, a bit of fun, you know what? Filled it with, it's solid now. It smells a little bit whiskey, but I think most of the alcohol did fall to the bottom. So there's still some testing to be done. But I think it's a nice candle nonetheless. So there you go, there's an old Heartwood candle. I've turned a candle into a bottle into a candle. Now I'm going to be honest with you, the Society bottles are notoriously hard to cut. I've tried many, many times. They're very, very difficult to get a really clean cut on. Two reasons. Tapered bottles with a slight taper to them and a bit of shape to them like this, make for very difficult cutting. Straight bottles, wine bottles, Heartwood bottles, of course. Bottles that are straight up like that are very easy to cut. However, bottles with a bit of taper are difficult. Second reason why these are so difficult to cut is because the glass on them is super thick. As members who can attest to who have dropped them before. I've dropped a bottle of Society whiskey. I've seen it basically bounce. The glass on these is so thick. So it's a thick, solid export grade glass, I think they call it. It's a green glass, of course. We use green glass because we don't need to. It's part of our identity. It's part of our shape and color. But these make for very, very hard for cutting. However, that was easy to cut. That was a really easy cut. Super like soft, sanded down, very kind of thinner on the glass as you can see there. And then I just filled it full of candle wax and put a dram of the whiskey in there. So I infused a dram of the whiskey into the actual candle wax itself. There you go. There's something that I've been doing which is a bit different outside of keeping creative on the weekends kind of vibe over here at Whiskey HQ, which I thought was kind of cute. So that was kind of like a nice little easy way to have a bit of fun with it. Throw a bit of whiskey into the actual wax, and then that'll make for a nice little, I'm guessing that's probably a 2 or 3 day kind of candle. It's not a big one. There's only small bottles can fit in my hand. See, so it's only a small bottle. I do have fairly large hands, but it's still like it's only a small bottle, but they're quite tall. So yeah, that's something to keep creative with over the weekend. Of course, is doing things like this. I might do another one tomorrow, but beer bottles are really easy to cut. They're impossibly easy to cut. In fact, they're quite fragile though as well. Some of them are quite fragile. The stone beers are very, very thin glass. Some of the others are quite thin. So beer bottles are much thinner. Whiskey bottles are quite thick. They're quite big. They're a fair bit bigger. Alex says, I've seen Alan Wood hit my bottle against a chair to prove it wouldn't break in my luggage. The guy was right. I'm glad that's a risky test to make, Alex. If it had smashed before you packed it, there you go. But Alan's known for doing things like that. For those who don't know, Alan Wood is now the new venue manager for Glasgow, the Glasgow venue when they reopen, of course, because they're not open at the moment. Joel says peated whiskey candle. How would that go? Smoke on smoke. That might actually work really well. I might try peated whiskey for the next one, Joel. I haven't really thought about it yet, but it could work really well. I'm gonna try and do a few more of these maybe tomorrow. The actual candle making itself, that part's easy. It's the cutting of the glass. That's the hard part. It's the getting a nice clean score, getting a nice really clean cut on the bottle, and finding a nice clean line to cut along. And then, of course, sanding it down is quite time consuming. If you use a Dremel or an electric sander, they can crack the glass really easily. Sally, you cannot, but I'll send you one. That's on me. I'll make one for you, Sally. Do you have a preference? I'll see what I've got. So Sally, consider it a gift. Consider it a gift. I'll gift you one once I make one that I think you'll like. So I'm working on a few at the moment. Just weekend projects. Don't expect to see more than one or two. But this is just a personal Matt Bailey project, not a society project. This is why I'm not really talking about it from a society standpoint. I should probably be broadcasting this from my Wonder and Whiskey, but I'm not. So there you go. And it's kind of like just finding. I'd love to hear from you what. Just tuned in Better Homes and Gardens. Yeah, welcome to Better Homes and Gardens. How to make your house nice with candles. No. It is a bit like that, isn't it? It's not all whiskey here. Weekend streams are a bit more impromptu and a bit more sort of unplanned bit of fun here and there, what I've been doing here and there. Where was I? Yes, I'll create one just for you, Sally. How does that sound? Yes. What I'd like to hear from you, and I'd love to see what you're working on, even just tag me on Instagram or whatever, or send me a message in Instagram or send me a message on Facebook, whatever. I'd love to see what you're working on, maybe if you're doing anything creative at the moment that you don't normally find the time to do. I'm still ridiculously busy. I'm still full-time, but just at the weekends, and weekends for me were normally events. We're normally running around the country doing events, flying here and there, or doing events in Sydney, wherever. So if I'm not doing many events at the moment, well, at least not in person, it means that A, my suit isn't getting much of a workout at the moment, which is fair, and B, I'm able to find my time to do little things on the weekend that might best be whiskey related, but not actually whiskey related. So there you go. Calby says, great idea with the candles. Might have missed it. What did you use to cut them and score the wax? Well, the wax is easy to score. The cutting is the hard part, Calby. I've got a few different tools that I use to cut. There is a thing called a kinkajou. The kinkajous are quite good, but they only work on straight bottles. So a society bottle suffers on a kinkajou. You can't cut them with a kinkajou. But you can. I've got also a scoring tool, which I use for other bottles, but you've got to be really straight. So, look, there's ways around it. You can use guiding bands. I've got a pair of guiding bands. They're terrible sometimes. They're really good other times. The real bummer is if you break a bottle whilst making it, and you've got to wear eye protection. Wear your goggles and the mask because the shards of glass going everywhere. It's mental. So, but yeah, there you go. Calby, I'll do a bigger session on glass cutting. It's a kind of it's a fun little subject. Cuts 911 says back to baking. Started culturing a new sourdough starter. Whiskey bread maybe. Not sure how that would go. Yeah, that's very cool, Cuts. It's like, people are finding ways. If you can find flour at the moment, of course, flour's a bit short supply, but like toilet paper. But if you can find some flour and you're doing some baking, go for it. I mean, I'm not much of a baker. I love cooking. I do a lot of cooking, but I'm not much of baking. Whiskey's my jam, not creative, but I've been updating whiskey based on all the Tassie bottles I've been missing. All the Tassie bottles I have, it is missing. Yeah, okay, well that is creative though. I mean, you're updating the whiskey community. It's doing something special. It looks like it basically looks like Excel work, but it's not. Somebody's got to do it. I mean, you want to look like all that data can be very easily lost. Was missing an SMWS photo for the current boozy in outturn too. Man, boozy in outturn. April outturn? Was there a photo missing in April outturn? I'll have to look that up. What is the sourdough starter craze? My wife and all her friends are trying to get these starters going. Yeah, and it's a cool one, Joel. I mean, by the way, Joel, we answered your question in the live last night. There was a few people in my live. There was Matt Wooler from Dram Nation and Scott Fitzsimons from Yoke Barrel were both in the live with me, and we all answered that question. Well, at least I know Matt Wooler did. I'm pretty sure Scotty joined after that. We're just about out of flour. Yeah, flour's a bit of a hot commodity. Hot dog extravaganza. Good to see you, mate. Look, I was just talking about what creative things you might find to do with yourselves whilst you're in. If you've got a weekend, because for me, weekends are always, this is just, whiskey travel, and right now it's just, the other one. Do you mean the 112 doesn't have a whiskey-based photo? There's a lot of photos missing on Whiskey Base. It's a good resource. It is a good resource to find things. I don't trust the reviews on there. I'll be completely honest with you. I like reading individuals' tasting notes sometimes on there, and I love finding out some of the stats of a bottling that I can't readily find is quite useful. It's often the first result I hit when I'm Googling a certain cask or something. But you see reviews on there that are all nonsense. People review like it's kind of like you see these reviews that someone doesn't like something, so they give it like a 60. And then you see someone who really likes something, so they give it a 99. And it's like, well, you gave something a 99, so there's no room for any whiskey really to be ever better than that. What is that? It's ridiculous. The reviewing on there it really doesn't make any sense. And I see a lot of that on Facebook groups. I see a lot of these comments like, oh, I was going to buy that, but I'm only getting an 88 on Whiskey Base. I'll wait for something that's above 90. It's like, where these scores are just coming from people just like you and I who are like, yes, I think that's really good. It's all very subjective. I've tasted whiskies off Whiskey Base that have an average rating of like 72 that I thought were amazing. So other people might not like it, but I do. So you've really got to just trust your own palate on these things, because Whiskey Base can just be, it's just that the scoring system is very strange. And that's why there's a lot of 94s. Sorry. There's a lot in that sort of 90 to 94 bracket. Most people score in the same bracket as well. So I had to catch up on that. Yeah. Whiskey Base is missing the photo from the bottle in the April ad. Okay. I found it interesting that guys with a lot of whiskey already still opted to go for the more bottle option. Yeah. It's funny, isn't it, the way that works? I mean, even if you've got a whiskey collection, you still want to collect more whiskey, isn't it, I guess? AR Moz has it now added by me. Fantastic. A lot of photography. Good to see you, mate. Yeah, sounds like Reddit. Yeah. And I don't mind a bit of Reddit. It's good. The whiskey community there is pretty good. The bourbon community is fairly rotten, but, win some, lose some. There's a few good whiskey subs on there, though. It's always a bit of fun, isn't it? But yeah, it's like these Reddit reviews of whiskey, like someone tasting, I heard Glenn Farclas 40-year-old or something, or a Society single cask something or other, and they're like, oh, it's good, but it could have been better. You see these, and it's like, yes, I know we should always strive to get better at these things, but at the same time, you just go, come on. Yeah, see, okay, you use it to track the ones you've owned. I love Whiskey Base for the purpose that you can have an account and you can track what you're drinking. You can track your own collection in there. Other people can then, comment on that and stuff. And that part of it, I think, is fantastic. The community aspect of it is great. That's what makes a good society group. A good Facebook group, which I was about to say, I think the society Facebook group is great like that. There's a great sense of community, a great sense of dialogue. The comments and the members and everyone getting involved, and there's a lot of people in there who are not members, but they discover the society through there. So you're always welcome to invite your friends to the group. Honestly, it's not like a members only group. We're very inclusive. It's all very welcoming. I like that about a community. I just don't really trust scoring. I just don't trust scoring systems. Most of them are fraught with biases and are fraught with just being just totally irrelevant. And the scoring is purely subjective. It's like listening to 10 Jim Murray's review something or something. Anyway, I like reviews when it comes to tasting notes and critical analysis of a whiskey. I love identifying flaws. I love identifying features. I just don't like going, well, that whiskey is a 8.25 out of 10. I don't find that useful. Sorry. I've been trying to grow a whiskey tree, but it's damn hard. I like the idea, Matt, of one 300 and two 150s, but I'm sure that if you get the option to buy a whiskey that gets put in a ballot, you would have to take it. Yes. Look, I do sometimes buy the premium black label releases that we release at the Society, and I have bought one Vaults collection release myself. I don't buy a heap of them, and by the way, I just want to reiterate that SMWS staff, myself included, gets always the staff, the state managers, Susie, myself, Andrew. We are all on what we call second dibs. So members always get first dibs. We release something in Outturn, and if it doesn't sell out in the first week or so, then any staff that want to grab anything can then make a purchase for it, and they pay the same rate as you do. It's just like we have this system where it's sort of, there's no, we have to maintain egalitarianism, and I'm sure Alex will agree on that, and others will agree as well. Yeah, exactly. So I would have to take it. That's a great question. I would have to take it. So many great questions coming in tonight. This is just an impromptu stream. I showed you the Heartwood example. I give you a 9 out of 10 for that comment. Plumber, you're a funny guy. Okay. Been a few non-SMWS bottling posts in the FB group recently. A bit off topic. Yeah, I mean, whiskey's my jam. Please just alert us to them if you see them before we do. We've got a few admins on that page. Dan Mathers from Queensland, Alex Morse from Victoria, Andrew and myself are the main moderators on there. Of course, if you see something on there that shouldn't be on there, don't go report post, because that just alerts too many people. But just, maybe just tag me in the post or something, or at me in the post, and I'll see it. Yeah, members come first, no matter how much it hurts. It's true. Look, we are a membership-based club. We are a club for the members, so they have to come first. Morky Moo, Scott Fitzsimons, Whiskey is my jam, says, I'm surprised the sneaky mid-month reappearance of the Pete Ferry hasn't sold out yet. Yes. There are a few surprises that we still like to play on that site. I tell you what, every so often things come back into stock, and it might be stock that was allocated for an event. I've talked about this before. It might be, sometimes we've ordered 10 cases of something, 10 get put on the site for an outturn, they vanish at outturn, but 2 cases may have been left behind in Glasgow in our allotment. So those 2 cases might arrive 2 or 3 months later. So what are we going to do? We're not going to relaunch it or put it back in an outturn. We'll just sneak it back onto the site. People will find it. It's not sneaking. It's just being like something a bit of fun. Why not? So there you go. I did see the Pete Ferry there. Exactly. So Pete Ferry and Trifle Delightful both came back into stock suddenly. We found 2 cases of each, I think, sitting in our warehouse. It's like, oh, okay, well, look at that. Let's sell them. It's like they're there. They're not doing anything sitting in a warehouse. So, sometimes casks come back in and out of stock. Sometimes, when it comes to, that's mostly for heresy, by the way. It's also things like single casks. There might be a single cask up on the site that sells out. We had maybe 12 bottles, sells out, and it's dearly departed. And then maybe a day or 2 later, it's back on one again, 1 stock left. That does happen. There's reasons for that I won't go into right now, but it does happen. Joel says, also a rum that sold out quick reappeared. Yeah, it's true. You've got a keen eye, Joel. I mean, a rum that we picked up last year did reappear. That's right. So rums sometimes come back in stock. Single casks, of course, all sorts of things. There's nothing wrong with any of that stock, of course, that we wouldn't sell if there was. It's just that it comes back to availability because the allocation has either been adjusted or it's now or an extra case arrived from the UK or something like that. It does happen. I check the shop every day now. Yeah, just refresh that page. I tell you what, and the new stock always gets bumped to the front, of course, and sometimes, however, restocks might be on page 2 or 3. So just check the whole shop or however you have it set up, of course. Is dearly departed a bottling? No, dearly departed is a phrase we use when something sells out, plumber. So if something goes from 18 bottles in stock to 0, it then gets a stamp on the product that says dearly departed, as in like, goodbye, we'll never see that one again. That's the nature of single cask whiskey. Once it's gone, it's gone. I've been talking a million miles an hour. I was just showing off that whiskey candle I made today out of an old Heartwood bottle because I was bored. Really great to see you all. Happy Saturdays. I'm going to have a dram. I'm going to sit back with a dram of 64.97. It was a lovely cask of 64 from about 3 years ago actually almost. And it's just a lovely bourbon cask. It was a first fill bourbon cask. You can see quite vibrant in the colour there. Hope you're all having a lovely Saturday and a great weekend. I'll see you all maybe tomorrow, but more likely for Monday live stream. It's not the live stream, by the way. I don't think is going to be on Instagram. We've got to check out. We'll see how we can. We'll see if we can. But the Monday live stream, if you bought a pack, you would have got an email. If you didn't, I'm sorry. The Gathering Pack is the virtual live stream that Andrew and I are hosting for all of the members coming up this Monday night. Some lovely whiskies in there. Andrew and I are going to talk through these for a live session at 7 p.m. on Monday as the next official stream. And I'll see you all then. Have a great weekend. Cheers.